to get into here something kinkier. Al,
kinky
you
pod
had
beef.
some...
Al has a kinky
Al,
pod beef.
It's Al on the line, right? Your name's Al?
Yep, and if you want to call into the FEENS, it's 307-215-5171.
You're calling...
I had a heck of a time finding that number.
Where are you calling from there?
Oh, I live in Norway.
Oh, the number's not hard to find if you know where to look, everyone. It's on the Freedom Fiend site up the top. There's a thing that says live show, and you click on that, and the number's on that page. So what's up? What's on your mind?
Well, you wanted me to talk about my little post on Free Talk Live. The reason it's
what's it called?
Into two.
What's it called? What the post is called? Michael W. Dean, Dale Burt, Tops, Bottoms, and Me. Which and then you sent it to me, which you know is because you wanted me to know it, you know, like didn't want to hide it from me, but I thought it was a pod beef. Like, okay, I started this thing with your name in it and a name of a guy you've argued with and a topic you've argued with him on, and there's only 2 posts on it and they're both you. So I thought it was a pod beef. But is it?
You'd notice there's like 3 minutes between them. I was having trouble with the computer, so I had to put it in 2 posts, unfortunately. But I think Dale Burt's on your team as far as that'll go. I
don't know. I've actually tried to spar with him.
It's my issue. I have a problem with people that say I'm the top or whatever, I guess. It just bothers me.
Why?
And I explain
well, tell us give us the basics of it. Why does it bother you?
I just grew up with a guy like that always had to be boss, and I ended up, I'm not the type of person who has to be a boss.
I'm not either.
When people say, "Oh, I need to be the boss all the time," it just annoys the hell out of me.
Well, for one thing, I mean, are you talking about? I think you have to differentiate between people who are tops or bottoms or doms or submissives or master slaves in kink versus people who are type A personalities out in the real world. There's a difference, and very often, people who are doms in the bedroom are really mellow in the real world. And actually, a lot of people who are doms tend to, like me, be self-employed so they don't have to be out in the world being a type A personality or being pushed around.
Well, I don't like to be pushed around either. I just don't like to push around at the same time. I guess when I started off on this whole, because first I heard that, I'm a top from your show. And then later on, I caught Dale's show where he said, well, I have to be the dominant one too. And I always, in real life, because no one's going to try and dominate me in the bedroom. I run into people that say, well, I'm the boss around here. And show me you know what the hell you're talking about, and then we'll discuss it. I'm not the kind of person that tries to boss people around, but I'm not the kind of person who likes to hear people say, well, I'm the boss. No, you're not, dude.
Well, maybe, Michael, you need to do it like a Chinese fortune cookie.
That bothers me.
Yeah,
maybe you need to do it like a Chinese fortune cookie and put in bed at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the big distinction here. Is I think Michael only means, when it's a consensual relationship in the bedroom, then Michael likes to be the boss, which does not affect me, his co-host, and it shouldn't affect anybody else in the world except for his lovingly committed wife. So I think it's a big distinction, and there can be some confusion there. But I mean, whatever Michael wants to do in bed, it's not really my business.
And it's not the world's business, although I've made it. Some of the aspects of it,
the world's business.
I've made it the world's business for anyone who wants to hear about it. I don't like email people copies of the book we wrote and spam them with it or anything. It's for people to go find, and there's actually warnings on it, not just age warnings, but here's what's in this. Don't read any further if you're not interested, so no one's shocked by it. I don't like to shock people. Can I ask something? Yeah.
Because when I went around and asked people about it, the thing is, everybody agrees with you and Dale, basically, that evidently most people except for me think that way.
Think what way?
In a relationship, one has to be the dominant one and one has to be the submissive one.
So you think that, or you don't think that?
So my problem is, because of my growing up the way I did, when somebody trying to dominate me all the time, I find it repugnant to even hear it.
Well, it's kind of funny that one of the things
when I went around and What?
One of the things that Dale and I've kind of argued with Dale on, he's never argued back with me on it, which is fine. It's not a pod beef. It's just a differentiation of opinion. He did a show on BDSM and apparently he's a top in bed. He did a show where he was talking about BDSM and experimenting with it. And someone can be a top without being into BDSM at all. I mean, a lot of times, one person is more dominant than the other in bed. But he implied that someone who is into BDSM probably has had a abusive childhood. And I got really angry with that and disagreed with that. And I found that's not true. I've talked to hundreds of people who are into kink as a lifestyle, and I would say they have almost exactly the same rate of having been abused as a kid as people who are not into kink. It sounds like you, and I hate to sound like Dale in this or like a lot of people in this, the thing I criticize, but it sounds like you had some kind of emotional abuse as a kid, not sexual, but someone who was, I'm the boss of you, and that turned you off to it forever. Am I correct?
Nah, it just makes me meaner than hell that people would try and say they're the boss. But can Neema weigh in on this? How is your relationship? Are you guys equal, more or less?
Yeah, with my wife, I mean, we try to be equal. I don't want to get too personal into things, but
Sure.
Our concept has always been to be an equal partnership as much as we can, and at different times we'll call each other out and say, hey, you're trying to force your will here. We really want to be equal. So we do get off track just like anybody in any relationship does. No relationship is 100% perfect, but I think our goal is to be an equal partnership and for us to both be getting what we want out of it, not at the expense of each other, but to the benefit of us as a unit. So I'm not really into the whole dominant submissive thing, but that, again, that's just in general life. In bed, I don't really want to get into it, but there are different times where different people are different. I don't even know how to say it without offending somebody.
Neema?
Maybe.
I'm a switch.
I don't want to get too into that part of my life.
Switch. I'm good now.
Okay, Al, I also think that you have a misunderstanding of me and my wife's relationship. We are equals. I don't keep her chained up in the basement. I have joked on here like, hey, bitch, get me a sandwich. She, basically I'm asking her to get me a sandwich and she's doing it, but I'm joking for the microphone. And I'll do that when the microphone's not on too. Like, hey, bitch, get me a sandwich. And she will. But it's like, it's not treating her like a second class citizen. And a lot of feminists would probably have a problem wrapping their head around that, but it's true. DJ, you want to weigh in on this?
Here's how you would explain it: is what would happen if she said no?
She doesn't.
What would happen if
she doesn't?
Okay. Theoretically, if she said something like, "Get your own damn sandwich," would you go get your damn sandwich?
If she has a headache or a migraine and says, I have a headache, I would never push her. I'd be like, oh, okay, and then I'd be like waiting on her, like, what can I do for you?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if she's just really tired, I do things for her. I do a lot of the housework when she's at work because I work at home. I do a lot of fixing the house up. I do yard work. It's an equal relationship. We're off the air.
Hi, I'm Neema Vedadi from the Freedom Fiends podcast, and I'm excited about Vaporsmith's electronic cigarettes. I dig the taste, and I dig the freedom to vape anywhere the nanny staters would wet their pants if I smoked.
Vaporsmiths.com is run by a liberty-loving entrepreneur, not some subsidized tax eater conglomerate.
I'm Michael Dean of the Freedom Fiends, and I love Vaporsmiths. I smoked 3 packs of tobacco cigarettes a day for decades, but now I'm only using Vaporsmiths. I love the flavors, I don't smell like smoke, and I save money, so I have more to spend on ammo and treats for my kitties.
Available in 4 strengths and 10 delicious flavors. Reds, classics, Turkish, menthol, strawberry, cherry, vanilla, coffee, minty mint, and cloves. Go to Vaporsmiths.com. Use coupon code FREEDOMFIEND to get 25% off your order. This is a limited time offer. Vaporsmiths at Vaporsmiths.com.
Hi, I'm Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends, and like you, I'm concerned with privacy on the internet. The electronic police state is strangling our previous protections, and the central scrutinizer is trying to squint into all areas of our lives. That's why smart people surf the net with a VPN or virtual private network. I use a VPN from Bola VPN. Bola VPN has your utmost security in mind and will allow you to surf, email, and do other computing tasks without leaving a trail of breadcrumbs across the internet. Unlike many other VPN providers, Bola VPN doesn't log traffic. With Bola VPN, you can change your apparent location or disappear completely. Bola VPN has been around since 2007, which is OG in the VPN world. Bola VPN is easy to install and configure. Best of all, it can be had for less than 25 cents a day, which is a small price to pay for this much security. And if you open a support ticket saying you heard about them through the Freedom Fiends, they'll add 3 extra days free. That's Bola VPN at BOLEHVPN.net.
Should decisions on what you put in your body be left up to people whose very job depends on keeping certain plants illegal? Or do you believe in freedom of ingestion? The Genome Project is a cannabis science community founded by a leading DNA scientist. We fight ignorance with information. We don't have all of the answers, but we put all of our proceeds into finding them. If this requires sequencing the genomes of a forbidden plant, we've done it. If it requires leaving the country for the free pursuit of science, we've done that as well. The Genome Project is an ongoing crowdsourced experiment in free pursuit of the truth on cannabinoid sciences. Join us and participate in studying Mary Jane's genome. Get the app by searching Jane-Ohm on iTunes. The app is only $1.99 and all proceeds go to furthering and disseminating scientific truth. You must be 17 or older to download the app. Search Jane-Ohm on iTunes. That's JANE-OME.
Found the Liberty Radio Network
All right.
at LRN.
Here, if you want, if that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, keep recording. We'll keep recording.
Whatever.
Well, wait, you don't want me to?
it
You
just said-
you said whatever. You don't want me to record?
No, record them.
Okay. You said whatever.
We're all friends here.
All right.
No, I don't want to beef. I really don't. I'm a fan.
I'm not
Okay.
But it's just
beefing.
that when Neema asked this question, most guys, I guess I'm like Neema. I'm a switch, if for lack of a better word. And I guess especially guys that grew up like I did with the dad ordering the mom around and stuff like that, that whole ordering your wife to get a sandwich and stuff is just kind of a turnoff. And, I apologize for that, and I know it's my problem, not yours.
It really is your problem, not mine. I have one of the happiest marriages of anybody I know, and we've been together 8 years, which is not forever, but it's past the point of, most people break up in a lot fewer years than that. So, it's working.
Sure, but when you're ordering her around on the air and stuff like that to a libertarian audience, I don't think I'm the only one that finds it repugnant. I don't know. Neema, were you comfortable with it? Because it kind of turned me off. When I called in last time, I really wish you hadn't said that.
Well, I
What
did.
it come down to.
The thing is, I did have somewhat of a turbulent childhood at times, and the thing was, my mom left the guys that treated her badly. And so I don't think Michael, when I hear Michael say something like that, he sort of he gets a different tone to his voice.
You've seen us in action too. You've seen us in action.
But most people haven't, Michael.
Well, Neema can tell you that. Well, Neema, do I abuse my wife in person?
No, not at all. And the other thing I was saying is your voice kind of gets different, like you are joking. You never do it in a forceful way, at least from what I hear. And I guess the other thing to a libertarian audience is, she can leave. You don't force her to stay.
Yeah.
My mom left the guys that treated
It's a voluntary relationship too, and that's something that anybody who has a problem with this from a libertarian standpoint is not taking that into account. If you hire someone to work for you, and part of the job is like yelling because it's a loud environment, let's say, or you're a gruff boss, and someone stays, that's a voluntary relationship. And
right. Another example I use for stuff like that is, I've always been anti-authority, but I didn't mind it when my football coaches yelled at me to do something. When they forced us to get down and do air raids in the anthill covered, because I signed up for it. I can leave anytime. I wanted to be a part of that organization, so I understood what came with that there'd be giant muscle-bound football coaches yelling at me and abusing me, but that's what I signed up for, and I could leave at any time.
take it or leave it. But my advice is, careful.
What?
Because I don't think anything good's going to come out of it.
DJ, you want to come in here and talk to this? This guy's saying that we have a bad relationship or something, and I need to be careful with how I talk to you.
Michael,
that's not what he's saying.
He's just be more careful with what you say in the air.
Why should I be different on the air than I am in person? It
turns him off, and he's worried that it could turn off other listeners, is what he's saying.
DJ,
that's all.
Want to pop in here?
Well, I've only heard your side of the story, but anybody that tries to say that you and I have an abusive relationship doesn't know how we work together. They're just wrong.
DJ, my only point was most people don't.
He said she doesn't have headphones on. She said his only point is most people don't know that's what you're saying.
Well, then they're judging without knowing the facts, and that's
Most
their
people
failure.
So, since most people judge without knowing the facts, I shouldn't speak the way I do on the air? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Are you saying I should censor myself?
We'll take that call. They take the call like I did. All I'm saying is the ordering her to get a sandwich like that is an example, and it was an example. It was a bad idea. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
No one else has ever mentioned it, but maybe the people that are really offended by it just don't listen, which is what I advise people to do when they don't like something they hear. But I don't know
the facts. I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to criticize you in any way.
I know. You're kind of telling me how to do my thing, though.
Well, he's just providing feedback. I don't think there's anything wrong with providing a little feedback.
All right.
But, I mean, it's feedback. You can take it or leave it, Michael, and we do appreciate
I hope
the
we're
feedback.
still on commercial, for God's sake.
I think we're back in the air, but this was recorded to go on the feed. I mean, that's why I recorded during the show.
I can download it and listen to it later.
And we're back on the air now. We are back on the air now.
Conflict is the essence of drama. We appreciate the call, Al.
Man, you get nervous when you call into these shows, you know it?
I don't.
I have a damn heart attack.
Well, you're used to it, Michael.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for calling, Al.
Are we done? I'm not done.
You're not done? This is your thing. Well, do you have anything else to say? I mean, I feel like we're just sort of going in circles now. Is there anything else you wanted to let us know about? Or?
Actually, I just needed to hear Neema's opinion, I guess, because everybody else I was talking to, both men and women, even my own wife, were like, yeah. Guys, I'm the dominant one.
Well,
women were saying I'm the submissive. Oh, come on. Somebody's got to be equal.
Well, my opinion is I don't think that there needs to be a dominant or a submissive, but if that's the way people in a relationship want it to be, I don't see anything wrong with it. So to me, you guys are both right. There's nothing wrong with it as long as it's voluntary. Well, I have but at the same time, it's not necessary.
I have two thoughts on this. One is, if Neema was particularly disturbed by this, I think he would have talked to me about it, which he hasn't, or would have left.
I did not say I was disturbed by it.
Right.
I didn't say that.
No, I said you would have talked to me about it already. Basically, I feel it's kind of like a band. Like, I got an argument the other day with this guy that I knew from back in the day named Mike Dolphy, who was in this band called Black Market Baby or Government Issue or something in D.C., and he was bitching at me like, wow, I see this picture of you with a gun. That's really weird that you're into guns now. And I'm like, aren't you the guy that played in a band that had a song called Gunpoint Affection that was about raping a woman at gunpoint? And he's like, yeah, but I wasn't the singer. I was just playing on that. And I'm like, that's a horrible idea for a song. I would never do that. And you co-signed it by playing bass in that band. And I feel really strongly about that. Like, if somebody's in a band and they hate what the singer's doing, they should quit the band. And Neema hasn't quit the band. So, and the other thing is, I mean, somebody has actually taken me to task before and said, cause early in our marriage, we don't do this anymore, but we used to swing with other girls. We didn't wife swap. We didn't play with other couples or other men, but we would occasionally have another woman in our bed. And so, yeah. And and somebody said, that's not fair. If you're going to do that, you should sometimes have another man in your bed.
And they were right.
They're not right. You're not right.
They're not right because fair is what the players of the game agreed to.
It wasn't a good thing. It's not fair.
Well,
I don't know.
No,
well, fair is what the players agreed
right.
to, and if Michael and DJ, the players, the main players in that game, agreed to those rules or that system, then that's fair.
Yeah, it's not
now,
everybody wins soccer, you know.
If DJ was offended by it and felt like, hey, well, I need another guy in here. I need another penis in my life, then she should have brought that up. She should have brought that up, and they could have fought about it and parted ways.
But she didn't want that, and we have machines for that anyway.
Well, shoot.
You have machines for that. The wonders of technology, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they are sweet.
Well,
we can discuss those if you want. I got a really fancy one for my wife. She never uses the damn thing.
Wow.
See, that made me blush.
Really?
I'm kidding. Not really.
What?
Yeah, I don't think anything makes Michael blush.
I'm kidding. I'm in a room.
Michael is blush proof.
I'm in a room full of dildos and guns, man.
That should be the name of the episode.
Vibrators with the little adjusting thing that does different vibrations, like a massage chair.
Is it programmable?
See, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this until we get a corporate sponsor who sells dildos, and then we'll review them. How's that?
There you go.
So if there's anyone listening from any sex toy companies or marital aid device repositories, drop us an email at talkback@freedomfiends.com. Anyway, I think we're going to, unless you got any closing statements here, I want to open it up for other calls, Al. I don't want to cut you off, but you got any more? We talked about this for about 2 segments now.
No, except to mention, I do have a metal lathe, so I can make some dildos. By advertising.
All right. Well, start the company by advertising, and then we'll have you back on. I'll
have to test them for me, though. My wife hates dildos.
Well, I don't think I want to get packages of dildos from Norway. I think that would be an interesting customs issue.
Especially
we'll have a contest where Fiends can win a dildo.
Anyway.
Yeah, you have to make them downloadable so I can use my 3D printer on this end and print them.
Okay.
All right, we're going to get another caller in here. Thanks, Al.
Okay.
Thanks, bye. Al. Appreciate it. Awesome. Do you really have a 3D printer? I think you were just joking, but
I would love a 3D printer.
Yeah,
so speaking of technology, there's an article in the new Wired magazine called "Here Come the Drones," cover of Wired magazine this month. It's about hobbyist drones, and it's by a guy who makes hobbyist drones. And apparently, you can spend between $500 and $1,000 and get a quadricopter that you can put a camera on that you can program. It's not even radio controlled. You can program it on a mission to go certain places, up and down, left and right, forward.
Right. Or control your area or whatever.
Yeah. With live footage coming back. And he said that this industry is in its infancy, probably where like computing was when the first Apple came out.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, and then there's actually a drone organization, Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International.
Yeah. The drone. They're having a drone
they
event.
Seem like they're just as happy about statist drones as they are.
Oh, it's all about statist drones. I don't even think there's anything about private drones here. I mean, this is like,
really?
They have a section called advocacy on this site about how they have. It's got the picture of 2 smiling guys in suits, government relations manager and general counsel. And they say that their current legislative initiatives include airspace access, next gen, surface transportation, first responder grants, and frequency spectrum. This is the drone industrial complex, and they're having the drone event. What do they call it? The drone expo. And if you want to look this up, it's auvsi.org. Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International. And now you said that there was a part on here that was their code of ethics. Where was that part?
Was it a code of ethics? It might have been code of conduct. One of those things where they're trying to basically say, "Hey guys, it's okay. We're not here to hurt you." Yeah, here it is. Code of conduct for unmanned aircraft systems operation. If you go to their website, it's on their little newsreel or their blog roll, and scroll down, about 2 or 3 posts down, and you can actually click on it. And it's just normal boilerplate stuff about how we want to make sure drones follow all the federal control state and local laws and regulations and make sure your privacy is protected, which when I read those two things, I thought, hey, those are kind of mutually exclusive. I don't think you can actually follow all the statist laws and still respect private property.
But this is for the people who make them. So maybe they're saying, we'll respect the privacy of General Electric.
Yeah.
And other drone makers.
We'll respect the privacy of those who pay us and the government who enables us.
Enablers,
yeah. That's all they are. So
have a lively
drones,
show.
Man.
Lively show here today, man.
Dildos and drones. Yeah.
I think money should be spent on dildos more than drones. Dildo bots.
Dildo bots? How would those look? Unmanned.
Well, you said you wanted sex bots. I mean, the ladies and the gays would have the dildo bots.
Unmanned internal vehicles.
Unmanned internal vehicles. Oh, man.
Tired of the false economy? Want to carry real money in a form that people will dig getting? Don't Tread on Meme now has Freedom Fiends and Guns and Weed silver dime cards. Collect all 4. Trade them with your friends. Freedom Fiends silver dime cards are also great for starting conversations with statists about liberty. Go to freedomfiends.com today and click the link at the top that says Silver Dime Cards. That's freedomfiends.com.
Check out the Anarchy Gumbo podcast. Michael W. Dean of the Freedom Fiends cooks up a very special blend of liberty, guns, sex, rock and roll, drugs, and thriving in spite of the state in an increasingly worrying world. All with a rotating cast of nifty guests who are also up in the middle of the night. The Anarchy Gumbo podcast, a tasty stew of freedom and fun. Subscribe at kittyfeet.com. That's KITTYFEET.com.
What does freedom mean? Tune in to LRN.FM to find out. LRN.FM is the Liberty Radio Network, a collection of live talk radio and podcasts, all coming from a principled pro-liberty perspective. LRN.FM show hosts aren't left, right, or conspiracy kooks. You can tune in 24/7 to LRN.FM via your phone, computer, satellite, and more. Listen free anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
No, that part didn't.
It didn't go out live where I said between the break. No, I'm not even going to say that, man. No.
The part where I was saying, oh, you almost said that, and you're like, yeah, I almost said that. That went on live, but the thing you almost said did not. So
good.
You were safe.
To leave people wondering.
That'll be our little secret, Michael.
So this episode is called Drones and Dildos, Oh My.
Well, we need a third thing in there. So
yeah, so
if you can think of what else we should be talking about today other than drones and dildos, give us a call and we'll talk about it. Drones, dildos, and drugs. It could be, all D's. The 3D lunch.
Yeah.
Nice. Yep. But you can give us a call at 307-215-5171. Go ahead and do it and talk to us about dildos, drones, drugs, whatever strikes your fancy.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. And the Fiends strikes your fancy, Michael?
The Fiends will be here, man. We're not going anywhere. We're gonna milk this cow till it's dry and then make hamburgers and wallets.
What made you say that though?
It's from a movie. It's a line from a movie I saw that I liked called The Independent with Jerry Stiller, where Jerry Stiller plays a kind of failing old independent filmmaker.
Okay. Is Jerry Stiller the guy who plays George Costanza's dad on Seinfeld?
Yes. Yeah, and he is Ben Stiller's dad. And Ben Stiller has a cameo in this too. Yep. He's funny.
Excellent. Yeah, he is funny.
Yeah, and Janine
he's the one who wanted to do the man bra. I forget what they called it. Yeah. Him and Craig. The brosier.
The brosier.
Yeah.
Yep. And
but then they had a fight about the name, and I forget what the other name was going to be.
Janine Garofalo plays his daughter in this, and I hate her politics, but she's a good actor and she's sassy and cute, so I like stuff that has her in it. If I can just forget the fact that she really wants Obama to round up all the right wingers and put them in camps at gunpoint and re-educate them in the joys of socialism.
She wants Obama to fuck our faces with his drone dildos.
Hey, no cussing, man.
Damn it.
That's we are live on WQUK, the Quake.
She wants Obama to try to kill us if we don't do his evil things.
I know. That is so square.
So square. F that statist, man.
Yeah.
Yes. Also,
So
F. Mitt Romney, don't vote. Please don't vote. Nobody vote.
So we
ever.
got some news you can use. There's a new thing coming out next month. It's not a law, but it's an agreement between all the major internet service providers in America where they're basically just going to spy on you. Supposedly looking for, like copyright violations, but who knows else what they're going to be doing or where they're going to be feeding it, which is another reason people should go get a virtual private network from Bola VPN, who we have ads for, and there's a link, an affiliate link on the Freedom Fiend site over on the right-hand sidebar. So check that out.
Yeah, I read that, man. This scared the crap out of me. So
what's the gist?
The gist is, the recording industry has been having their panties in a wad pretty much since the internet came out, trying to use the government to, I guess, enforce these silly copyright things. And so now they've sort of done a reach around and they've got all the internet service providers to just agree to spy on all their customers all the time, basically, to see if you're downloading a movie or downloading an album. Which is just ridiculous. And there is an article in CNN, which is kind of a critique of this. Although, as with any kind of mainstream media, it is rife with statism. So I generally think it's a good article. But in the first paragraph, he says, while we might all agree that copyright holders need to be protected, we may not all be equally happy about all of our communications. How does he make a generalization like that? I don't agree that copyright holders need to be protected. Protected from what?
I know. That's one of the tricks of the statist news is things like that. Wording like that. It really is.
And here's the other thing. Okay, so he calls it file sharing. Most people call it file sharing. When did sharing become bad? It's another one of those kindergarten things. I mean, in kindergarten, what do? They share. Why don't you share?
In kindergarten, they teach you socialism sharing, and
phone.
everybody wins
Fiend
soccer.
Phone.
And if you don't have enough for the whole
Fiend
class,
phone.
you're bad.
Fiend phone.
Yeah. Oh, we got a phone. A fiend phone.
Chandler, you're on the air.
Hey guys, what's up?
What's
up?
What's up,
man?
Not much. Hey, before we start off, I gotta say I'm really digging the Bola VPN. That's pretty good stuff.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get a subscription when the trial expires.
Yeah,
I found that
you won our contest. You won our contest last week.
Yeah, that
got
was
the
great.
free 1 month. Yep.
Yeah, I found though that the Mac version is a little bit easier to use and tends to work a little bit better than the Windows version.
I'm using the Windows version, and it was interesting to install, but once it was installed, it was fine. I have no problems with it.
See, now I have just the opposite experience. When I installed it on my Windows machine, it was a couple of clicks and it was all good. And it took a lot more to install it on my Mac. But I've noticed on my Windows machine that a lot of times I have to open my browser first before I start it up. Otherwise, I can't get online. It's strange.
Well, I have my browser,
but
my browser and my email program I have set to open when I turn the computer on. So I haven't tried it without the browser open. I will say one thing about that's interesting that I found was if you are using a program like, say, I was using VLC player, I think it's called. It's an audio and video player, and you can also play streaming stuff with it. I was listening to the Freedom Fiend stream with it, and had the browser open, and I turned on, I switched from my local ISP to the Bola VPN, going through Luxembourg or whatever. And I checked the IP addresses. My browser was correct. It was using the Luxembourg address. But since I had the streaming audio player running before I switched over, and it didn't it was using my local IP. So that's something to be aware of. Really, I mean, if you want real security with it, I think what you should generally do is, have your browser open or whatever you have to do to get it to work, and then open
do
it,
everything else.
Close your browser or close whatever programs you want to use privately, and then open them back up.
Yep, I found the same thing actually. I was using a torrent client to share a legal file, a concert file, and I already had the torrent file open, and same problem. So I ended up closing it. And
it doesn't switch you like it does with the browser, but it doesn't with other programs. So you need to if you want to use some other program other than your browser, privately, after you start the Bullet VPN, you have to stop the other program and then exit it and then reopen it.
Yeah. So what did you think of the article I posted on your wall about that San Francisco ordinance, the water bottles?
I don't know. I mean, I like that you posted it, but I get so many of those a day that I'm just like, oh, more tyranny. I mean, I barely scanned it and went, okay, that's really effing stupid. And I lived in San Francisco for 16 years, so nothing surprises me about that place.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of out of the loop here. What's the gist of it, Chandler? What are they doing over there in San Fran?
Ban Francisco.
Well, ban Francisco.
They don't want you to be wasteful, so they're going to put in special tap refilling instruments in offices and buildings so that you refill your water bottles.
No, they're going to require it by law.
Yeah, by a ordinance.
Yeah.
And my only thing was, I'm totally for not being wasteful, but I do it out of consideration just because of who I am. I don't need a government telling me to. And who's going to profit by this? The plumbers that are putting all this stuff in, and the company that's making them.
Yeah. And to me, that's a waste. It's a waste to force companies to install products that they wouldn't have installed otherwise.
I always follow the money. I want to know who on the city council has a brother that owns stock in the company to make those spigots.
Exactly. Well, I'm just surprised, and I don't know because I've never lived there and I don't know anyone that does, but why aren't more of the local people saying, you know what? No, I don't think we're going to let this ordinance slide.
Because they're too busy smelling their own farts.
Yeah, San Francisco is, I will tell it's incredibly, you're uncool in San Francisco if you don't go along with all this stuff. I mean, literally, from the dirty punk rockers to the people in the offices, everybody, if you're not green, shiny, far left Democrat voting, wanting new laws to protect everything, you are a bad person there and it's hard to get by there. It literally is.
It's horizontal enforcement is very thick there.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of, people that would do the whole voluntary route?
People do anyway, but a lot of times they're pressured into it. I mean, a lot of people in San Francisco have, I lived there way before they had recycling laws or even recycling bins, but a lot of people I knew, including myself, voluntarily recycled. And they had recycling centers before a lot of places did, that were easily accessible and not out of town by the dump or anything. But
well, yes, I would just think that if I was out there, I would make a big push for we're not going to let the city council pass this kind of,
and that would be like standing up in Wyoming and protesting the war. I mean, you would just be
with style.
But what if you did it with you said, we're not going to go for the city council doing this, but hey, let's us voluntarily spread awareness and try to get people to do it voluntarily.
We're off the air now, but I'm still recording for the archive. What would happen? Generally the activism in San Francisco that I've seen is people who are screaming that the city council members aren't being left enough. I mean, there was a guy who threw a pie in the face of Gavin Newsom, who is a liberal Democrat. He was the mayor at the time, who is somewhere to the left of Nancy Pelosi, and a bunch of lefty anarchists threw a pie in his face to protest him being too conservative.
Wow. And that whole lefty anarchist thing, that brings up something that I was thinking of since my conversion or whatever. And I say, I try not to use the word anarchy, not only because of the negative connotations that it has. A lot of people, when you talk to minarchists and all those folks, which I have respect for, don't get me wrong, but when you say anarchist, that's what they think of. They think of these radical Marxist leftist anarchists that just want to, I don't even know.
Redistribute our wealth.
Yeah. And so I try to stay away from that term, but every time, I posted, I was watching a thread on Facebook and it was a Ron Paul supporter and I guess Republican hacks going back and forth about, I won't vote for Romney, and then the others, why we have to vote for Romney to defeat Obama, and it was horrible.
I lived with lefty anarchists a lot in San Francisco, and kind of was one. I mean, I can think of an example, like right now my wife and I, own a home. I mean, the bank owns it. We're paying a mortgage on it, but we live just the two of us and our cats in a 2,800 square foot home. If we'd lived in San Francisco in that home with the people I knew back then, they would be like pressuring me to let some homeless people live in the basement. I mean, literally, like they would think that that is wrong for two people to share a house like that. And that's not even like a mansion or anything. It's just a nice size house. They would be pressuring us strongly to move people in. Literally, they'd say we're stealing and bad people if we don't.
Well, it's funny because I went to, in the infancy of the Occupy rally, when I was still in my minarchist phase, I went there to kind of just to talk to some folks, because there are some things I do agree with that the Occupy movement espouses. And there's a picture of me standing next to this guy, and I have my, billions for the bankers or debts for the people or whatever. And then there's this other guy, this like hipster guy holding a sign, property is theft. And I'm just looking at him like, really? I mean, how do you have a conversation with somebody like that when most rights stem from property? If you think property is theft, you don't believe in having individual rights.
Well, yeah, it seems like it'd be the opposite, right? The lack of property is theft. The taking of property is theft. And if he believes that property is theft, then how is he going to get that property away from you? He would have to steal it.
I have the two things that come to mind to me are, and I've talked about both these before. One is that meme that went around of a picture of a bunch of goon cops in riot gear, pepper spraying a bunch of people at an Occupy Wall Street thing, or spraying one girl in the face. And there's an arrow above the girl that says wants more government. And there's an arrow above the cops that says more government.
Yeah. The thing that it reminds me of was I was at a town hall meeting with Cynthia Lummis, the congressional representative in Wyoming. I was covering it for the news, and there were all these people getting up and yelling about Obamacare, and this is unfair, and they're forcing us to do this and that. And these same people then, like one of the same people who was complaining about this gets up and he starts complaining about people not paying their taxes. He's like, there are all these people out there that don't pay their taxes, and I pay my taxes every year, and I make sure the government gets all this money from me, and it's not fair that these other people aren't paying taxes. But it's the same concept. You're yelling in two opposite directions there.
Yeah, and another meme I've seen is it's a picture of Romney, and it says Romney has voted before in favor of universal health care, in favor of gun control, in favor of bailouts, and is backed by corporations. Yet people think he's going to save us from Obama.
Yeah, that was, and I on the forums and the Facebooks, I try not to do more than 3 or 4 comments because it's just ridiculous. But that was one of the things I pointed out. If you think just because we have to defeat Obama at all costs, I mean, really, you're going to put maybe the cure is worse than the poison.
Well, maybe Obama's not who we need to be saved from. I mean, it's like when people ask Ron Paul about, Ben Bernanke, and Ron Paul says, yeah, I mean, Ben Bernanke, he's bad at it, but whoever was in the position of Federal Reserve Chairman would be bad at it. It's that there shouldn't be a position of power like that. So
yeah, it's that institution.
Even if Romney saved us from Obama, Romney would not save us from the American imperial presidency.
It comes
promote it.
It comes down to do you want a left boot on your neck or a right boot on your neck? I mean,
or do you want no boots on your neck?
I'm kind of wondering why we're even talking about this, because this is and I'm not saying like, why did you call? I'm saying like, what's new here? I mean, this is kind of the premise of like your show and our show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to let people know again. Yeah. Some people have to be reminded through repetition. It's like Pavlov's dog.
Well, hey, and remember, you guys are having new listeners all the time.
I know.
I mean, I've only been listening to your show for a couple of months. So.
I guess I forget that. To me, it's kind of like, having a discussion like this would be like calling up the NRA radio show and saying, guns are good. Let me list 5 reasons why,
Yeah.
But the NRA doesn't really think guns are good, and they are really into government guns, would be my argument. But
yeah, what do you think of Gun Owners of America?
I used to be a member. I'm not anymore because they're really into trying to push the government guns in the direction of their guns. I don't know.
Are they really? Are they getting more NRA-like?
They all do lobbyist stuff. Although the Jews for the Preservation of Firearm Ownership is kind of my favorite one because they're less about legislation and more about education. Like they make comic books for kids about why gun rights are good. I like that.
Yeah, they are. I haven't checked them out much, but
I'm not a member of any gun organization right now. Although I did send $50 to the Wyoming Gun Owners Association to Anthony this year. So I don't know if that makes me a member or not. If I made a donation, I don't like being a member of groups. Basically,
yeah, putting your name and your reputation out there on a group label that doesn't. Because
then no matter what they do, you're kind of co-signing them, and they invariably do something. A group will invariably do something I wouldn't do.
Right.
We're coming back on here. We're coming back on here in a minute. I want to get this open for other callers, but we will pimp our interview with you on Tuesday.
All right, guys. Take care.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Thanks, man. Thanks for calling.
Later.
Worms.
All right. So I think we're back.
Neema. Well, Neema has apparently left us. So we have a show coming up on Chandler's show on Tuesday, which is called Brush Fires of the Mind, which is on Blog Talk Radio. Neema and I will be on 2 hours, and we'll be taking calls too. That is this Tuesday night at 8 p.m. East Coast time on Blog Talk Radio. Yep. So what happened to Neema? Did Neema get droned? I don't know, man. Should we call Neema? Neema, hello. Yes, I don't know. Let's call Neema. Hi, yeah, live radio. Just like it was in college. We used to do this. We did. Live on the air with radio. So, Mr. Vedadi, let's call Mr. Vedadi. I have 2 sets of headphones on right now. Maybe I'll just read poetry. I like this statement. The Free State Project stands out as one of the few ideas that could produce tangible change in our lifetime. The vision of Christian gun enthusiasts buying hand-painted targets from pot-smoking artists, laughing together while they give the taxman the finger, is beautiful enough to make the move. That's from Doug Stanhope. Neema, you back?
Much more feeling there, Michael.
In
yes,
what?
I'm back.
Much more feeling in what?
I don't know what happened there, but you were bragging about how we might be a little bit sloppy, but at least it's still good.
And then my mumble disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It's like I heard a little glitch, and then all of a sudden, mumble. It was on, but I wasn't hearing you. So,
yeah. So you reconnected to the mumbles.
Yeah, it's a sloppy Joe, It's sloppy, but it tastes good in your mouth.
I was calling you on the phone. I was calling you on the phone to see what was up while reading quotes from Doug Stanhope about the Free State Project.
Okay. Yeah, I missed the top half of that, but I'm assuming Doug Stanhope was saying good things about the Free State Project.
Oh yeah, and then there's another. He's a libertarian and a comic, and I like him a lot. He has another great quote. It's tradition and heritage are all dead people's baggage. Stop carrying it.
That's a good one.
You turn up a little. Turn up, Neema. Turn up.
Yeah. Am I quiet?
Yeah.
How's that? Is that better?
That's good. It's almost.
I feel like I'm clipping. I see the red on the mixer.
Just a little too. Yeah.
That
split
better?
Split the difference. Yeah.
All right.
So American politics are boring. Did you see this thing? Jordanian parliament member throws shoe and pulls gun on critic on live TV.
Yes.
That was awesome.
I was like, honestly, who throws a shoe?
Well, that's a Muslim insult.
I guess so, because there was that famous YouTube clip a few years back of the guy taking off his shoe, the journalist, and throwing it at George Bush. Yeah. When George Bush was speaking in Iraq. So, yeah, I guess it's a Muslim insult.
But this kind of stepped it up a bit. He pulled a gun on the guy on live TV on one of his critics.
Yeah. I don't know what was up with that. I mean, why would you?
Can you imagine?
I guess he was like calling him a Mossad agent or something. I think I was reading about it. And
yeah, it was kind of like recently when I was called a COINTELPRO agent. It'd be a similar thing. It'd be like the worst thing.
You
the worst thing
never
you could
thought
call
about
somebody.
pulling a gun on Mark Stevens.
No. I thought about throwing my shoe at him, but no, I'm kidding. I thought about dominating him and topping him on the air.
I didn't even know you wore shoes.
Kinky. Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
That's it's a little much. Okay. A little bit too far there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy pulls out. It was a little gun too. I mean, wasn't that scary?
A little gun is a gun, man. A little gun is,
gun's a gun.
you know.
It's not safe as gun.
I've often thought about that with like mouse guns, you know, like if you pull them, you damn well better be ready to use them. You know, if you pull out some little tiny Derringer type or 22 that's, you know, barely fits in your hand and is smaller than a tiny squirt gun, first of all, they may not even see it. Second of all, they're going to laugh at it. So you better be willing to use it multiple times if you pull it.
Yeah, true that. Well, luckily he didn't have to use it or didn't choose to use it. He didn't even holster it. Was he Mexican carrying that? Was he Jordanian carrying that?
I think he had it in his pocket.
He tucked it back into his.
Oh,
okay.
He returned. I think he had it in his suit coat pocket, but then returned it to his belt line.
Okay.
Mexican Jordanian carry.
Fair enough. Guns make good TV though, so there's always that.
Have you ever seen that video of some preacher pulling a gun on someone in his audience?
No.
It's pretty awesome. It's some guy that's still on the air, and apparently he got away with it because it was like on his private property. I don't know if that'd make a difference now, but it was like at his, you know, he has a TV temple, like he has a church or a TV church, like he has it's him sitting at a desk with an American flag behind him and like a Bible on his desk, and he's talking into the camera. That's his whole show. And he has an audience of like, you know, 20 true believers in the audience while it's being filmed. And some guy got in there that was not a true believer and like yelled Judas or something like that, or called him a liar or, you know, sodomite, or I don't know what he called him, but it was something, you know, the equivalent of calling me a COINTELPRO agent. And the guy pulled out a briefcase from next to him, opened up his briefcase and pulled out a gun and said, "I'm going to use this 9mm on that boy. Get that boy out of here." And it's on YouTube. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I should probably link that today.
It's a bit much, but okay. So gun. I suppose if he was telling the guy to leave and the guy wouldn't leave,
he just pulled it out. It wasn't an ethical gun pulling. Okay. It was, you know, it was what people think about gun owners would do all the time if everyone was armed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I almost
it was good TV.
I almost showed my gun on air in Wyoming during one of the weekend shows, which I produced and anchored. So I had a lot of creative freedom, so to speak. And there was some story. It might have been about concealed carry or open carry. I forget which one, but I was going to read the story and say, people who conceal carry like this and stand up and pull out my coat jacket and show my gun in my pants. My co-anchor convinced me not to, which I'm not sure. I think he was probably right.
You and I were running around with guns all night there a few nights after hours filming stuff. We could say that now. Hey,
can we say that now?
I don't know. Maybe not. I made it up. It's a lie. Can you yet, is it too early to read your take this job and shove it letter on the air if you don't say who was involved?
I already read that. So,
did you? I forgot.
Yeah, I did. Oh, and, okay. I mentally redacted it or audio redacted it as I was reading it.
There you go.
In fact, I think you sent a link of it to a young journalism student who was asking you about journalism. You sent that episode. So if you're looking for where it was, you might want to check your old emails. And, you know, in the future, we might put up little standalone segments like that. And so maybe that's one of them. But go ahead.
Is that the plan?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, we're gonna have our quarterly business meeting off air afterwards. We should record that and put it out as a podcast in full disclosure.
There you go.
For all our stockholders.
Parents
for all our Stockholm Syndrome fans.
721-5171. It is Neema Vedadi, and on the other end we got Michael W. What's up, Mike? Take that 9mm to that boy.
I know. Take that 9mm to that boy. We just watched this thing. TV Pastor Arnold Murray packs heat, and it's a short clip. I'm going to link it. Unfortunately, they fade it out before they show the gun, but they show him getting a gun and pulling it on someone who called him a blasphemer. Apparently, this guy is. It
did sound like they were trying to kick him out, though, because you can hear the heckler saying, Get your hands off me.
Yeah. Apparently, though, this preacher, Pastor Murray Arnold, a lot of people disagree with his teaching of the Bible, and there are a lot of videos trying to explain why he is a blasphemer. And apparently one of those people showed up in his audience. I used to watch this show. I hate it. I hate this kind of show, but I liked his office setup, and you can't really tell from this, but I really like the audio quality on this. And it's kind of like, that's what I wanted to do with podcasting, was have a show where I have my office with a microphone and like all my things around me. And we're doing that now. So he was an inspiration for me in podcasting. I must say that.
Who, the preacher that tried to pull out his gun?
Yeah. Before I knew he pulled out a gun. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
You know, this kind of reminds me of, I watched this movie last night. It's this Bob Dylan documentary, 2-part, really long, great documentary made in like 2005. Directed by Martin Scorsese, interestingly enough, and it's called No Direction Home. It's on Netflix. People should watch it. Bob Dylan's a really interesting guy, and I really dig him. And when he started out just acoustic, and he went electric early on, a couple years after his first album came out, and people hated it. I mean, he got booed, and there's a really famous scene where someone in the audience, when he's playing electric, like after the first song, between when they're tuning up, someone in the audience yells Judas, which is kind of like blasphemy. Calling him a blasphemer, traitor. Yeah. And Bob Dylan's, and that was for going electric. And Bob Dylan's response was great. He said, over the mic, he goes, "I don't believe you. You're a liar."
In his Bob Dylan voice.
"I don't believe you. You're a liar." Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, Bob
That's
Dylan.
awesome.
Bob Dylan was kind of an anarchist. He's been called an anarchist, and I didn't really know why. I mean, he was very anti-war. He did an amazing song, which I kind of think you should cover, Neema. It's called "Masters of War." It is the most scathing, like, you know, the men who send people to war. It's nothing about the soldiers. It's like the people who send them and keep the whole thing going. It's like an open letter to them. And it's like, you know, I want to see you dead as soon as possible and like laugh at your grave kind of stuff. It's really biting.
If I sampled it, do you think he'd send me an IP lawyer letter?
I think he would. I think he would, because there are no examples of it on YouTube. There's covers of it on YouTube, but there's no of the original. So that means someone's really protecting his stuff.
Okay.
I think you should cover it.
Okay.
But
now, okay, maybe you could shed some light on this, because I'm confused. If you cover something, that's free reign, right? You don't have to worry. You can cover anything in the world.
No, technically you owe some royalties. It used to be, when I was doing it, it was 6.5 cents per song per unit sold. But the thing is, you won't get taken down as quickly on YouTube, and you might just get ads on it, because the YouTube bot will sense the actual song, but not a cover of the song. So the computers aren't that smart yet. So anyway, though, I mean, he was very anti-war. He was very pro-civil rights movement. But like all of his friends and like people he performed with, like Joan Baez, were going to these like marches and open, like protest things. And she said in this documentary, like, people always say to me at these things, like, "Where's Bob?" And she's like, "He doesn't come to these things. He never comes to these things." And he was given this award called the Thomas Paine Award by some left-wing organization, like for his work. And his work really was like, his stuff wasn't really political, but he was lumped in with it, and a lot of political people liked him. But he was given this award, and he like really embarrassed the award givers. He said something like, "I'm not going to be some left-wing lackey for some," like, it wasn't like he was right-wing. It was more like, just, I don't want to be involved in politics, and you're pulling me into it, and this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was his acceptance speech in like 1966.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that about him.
He was a heavy cat,
in
man.
my mind, I lumped him in with those people too. I always thought he was sort of a left-wing hippie kind of guy.
He was so not hippie, man. He was, he had a lot of anger and a lot of angst and a lot of just energy that was different from hippies. And, he hated war, and he hated like apartheid in America, but he thought voting was ridiculous and didn't get involved with politics at all.
Oh, cool. So he's almost one of us.
One of us. Yeah, no, he's one of one, man. There was no one else like him. I remember every like 10 years since he first came out, like Rolling Stone magazine would declare someone the new Dylan, and it's like none of them ever were, man. And they're all forgotten, and he's still around.
Okay. Yeah, I guess his music was never really my style, but maybe I could give it a couple listens. Who knows?
It's all about the lyrics.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta listen to Masters of War, man. It's a heavy tune.
I will. Why don't you link that on the show notes so we can all listen?
Because there's only covers of it. I don't want to link Pearl Jam covering it. I want to hear Bob Dylan doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So want to give out the number there, Neema?
Yeah. You folks can, you good folks out there can give us a call at 307-215-5171. And I don't think I mentioned this yet in this show, but you can also email us and we will address your concerns and or answer your questions. Just email freedomfiends at talkback. Wait, no. Email talkback@freedomfiends.com. And because I screwed that up, I'll say it again. Email freedomfiends@talkback.com.
I heard another good one in that movie, The Independent with Jerry Stiller. Those who can't do, review. Although we invite people to review us.
Yeah, we do. And we were talking about doing more reviews, and so you didn't credit that, so I was like, oh, are you trying to say we can't do stuff?
I probably couldn't make a large budget documentary about Bob Dylan.
Yeah, but would you want to?
No, I made a low budget documentary about Hubert Selby Jr., which I think is an equally important character in American literature and poetry and music. He's not a musician, but you know.
Yeah. Well, I've always loved your whole thing about just do it. Don't wait until you get some giant studio to buy your screenplay or whatever it is. I've got friends who have been working for years to try to do that kind of stuff. You know, just trying to get their foot in the door or get somebody in LA to think they're awesome and give them a bunch of money so they can really do it right. And this project needs to. It won't work without $1 million budget. And it's like, just do your thing, man.
Those people all go back to Ohio, well, with their tail between their legs.
Why do you want to do a project where you're dependent on somebody else's money?
Yeah, because making stuff in Hollywood,
it's not going to be your project.
It is not. Making stuff in Hollywood doesn't give you a lot of vision, especially at first. I mean, I guess the idea is to get in and work until the point where you are the Martin Scorsese, but that's such a 1% of the 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 people who try it, man.
Yeah. So, and I mean, we're blessed to live in an age where making media is so cheap. Just make it, and if it's awesome, people will watch it.
And be like, producer Mike Dean, who's not me. Yeah, guy who does stuff for Kanye and Dog Pound, Tupac, Do or Die, Ghetto Boys, Scarface. Tech Nine,
amazing guy. Does stuff for Devin the Dude, UGK, like UGK for Life.
You didn't know his name. You knew his stuff.
All of my favorite hip hop, and there's this guy named Mike Dean who does it. I didn't know that.
There's also a lesser known. There's a hip hop writer named Michael W. Dean. Have you ever encountered that guy?
No. Okay. Well, by a writer, what do you mean? Like a ghost
writer? He writes for like online zines. But not just blogs, but like zines and magazines, hip hop magazines.
Okay, like a critic.
He's not me. Yeah, a critic. What is it? Those who do can't do. No, what? Those who can't do review. I don't know if he does or not. Maybe he's this Mike Dean guy. Who knows? But I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it. Crash.
Okay, we're recording started. Yeah, man, I need a big blinking light that says recording. They actually sell, like, some sites that sell equipment for podcasting sell those lights that say on air, which I always thought was the cheesiest thing. Like, really, you have a fantasy of, like, you're somebody. You think you're in a radio station. You want to have an on air one, but you actually had a good reason for wanting to have one. So go ahead and tell. Did you talk about that on air or not?
No, not yet. But yeah, I was, during the last Sunday live show, I was live on the radio. I was using my father-in-law's house, and his wife comes in and starts making small talk with me to my back about the weather. And I look back at her and I go, I'm live on the radio. Very politely, because I'm using their house. Obviously, they're nice enough to let me use their house. But so I think a sign is not out of line. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I need one that blinks to remind me to record. It could just say recording, but it would remind me to record.
Yeah. I mean, they make on-air signs for a reason. So if you don't want to be disturbed, there's nothing wrong with having a little on-air sign.
I never got the reason for them, and I still think that a lot of people get them because they have a fantasy of, it's interesting. Like, I've seen sites that cater to podcasters, and they'll have like, a $39.95 microphone, and then they'll have like the $99 on-air sign, and I'm like, Why do you need that sign? Why don't you spend
what are your priorities?
$150 on a better microphone, man? You want the sign for your fantasy?
Yeah. I would definitely put the extra money into the microphone. I'll probably just spray paint a plank of wood with on air and turn it over.
Yeah. Nail it up.
Yeah.
Nail it to
Homemade,
their forehead. Baby. I'm kidding. That's from a Tom Waits song.
Nail it to their forehead?
Frank hung his dreams on a nail. There's a metapocalypse where they're like, man, this party is such a sausage fest. This party is sausage fest. And Toki's like, I love sausage fest. And he says, no, not sausage fest, a sausage fest. Like apparently sausage fest is something in Europe that they both know about.
Oh, there was actually a church where I lived in Washington that did a yearly or annually sausage fest.
And they called it that?
Invited you to, they called it that. They
was it
invited
men
you to
only?
come out to Sausage Fest.
Was it men only?
No, I think it was everybody.
So it was not,
sausages for everyone's mouth.
Sausage Fest was not a sausage fest?
I didn't actually go to Sausage Fest, so I don't know if it was men only. But my female news director was a member of the church, and she was inviting all of us to go visit Sausage Fest.
You know, we're back. I love how we're doing this. I love how we're doing this.
Oh, we're back. Yeah. We have totally missed the ball on all the breaks and comebacks.
So people can sign up now for Beef Fest. It'll be running at the same time as PorcFest in competition. So, and then people could call in from PorcFest and beef with us live on the air at Beef Fest.
Well, of course it would, because it's Beef Fest. So
yeah,
our motto is "fuck pork." Oh damn it!
Quit goddamn swearing. So yeah, so I was just saying on the break that we were talking about newly minted anarchists and how they're all cheery and argumentative, and I was saying, I think I'm coming up on just about a year as a full-on anarchist of having left minarchy in that last little bit. And what did you say? I should get a 1-year chip from Statist Anonymous.
Statist Anonymous.
And then
I
said,
have your anarchist birthday too.
Yep, and then Anarchy Chips, the official chip of Beef Fest sponsors. Yep.
Yeah.
You're kind of my anti-statism sponsor. You kind of help me.
Am I?
A lot. Yeah.
Okay. Make sure.
But I never called you up at 3 a.m. going, I think I'm gonna vote. Talk me out of it. DJ's laughing in the other room.
That was pretty good. Yeah.
I read an article in the paper and I can actually see why we need more money for schools. Talk me out of it.
Well, that's just the thing, though. Once you're an anarchist, can you go back? I don't think you can go backwards.
I'm calling up the Prairie Pravda on Monday. I got their number written down. I'm calling their subscription department, and they used to give me once a week. They'd give me the paper, and I'd be like, okay. Then I have, I can read for Pod Beef Source. They are now giving me the paper, which you have to pay to subscribe to. They're giving it to me every day, and they're throwing it in my yard. So they are littering, and I just put it straight in the trash. They are littering, and I'm going to call them up, and I tried doing this in California with the local free paper, and they wouldn't do it. They're like, we don't have any way to do that. But they will have a way to do that, because they have a number for if you go on vacation and you are a paid subscriber and you want to put it on a hold. I'm just going to say, put it on a permanent hold. They better.
Yeah, that'd be the most effective way. But the funniest way would be to call the police and say there's somebody that keeps throwing a bundle of newsprint on your lawn every day.
There's somebody that keeps littering every day. I want to fill out a report. Yeah, I would almost do that as a joke. I mean, not as a joke, but to use the state on the statisms. And there you go. I think you can be an anarchist and do things like that. I really think you can. I don't think that would make you a statist.
I don't think it would.
I've actually thought about, the local high school band practices really loud, and I can hear it from my house. I've thought about calling the police with a noise complaint about the public high school.
Do it. It's anarchist judo, right?
It is
putting their own force
theater
against them.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what anarchists do when they go into court and try to accuse, try to make it go their way? And I'm not just talking about Mark Stevens. I'm talking about going back to the Yippies, this in the 60s. Abby Hoffman did stuff like that, but he was willing to go to jail. He wasn't telling other people to do it. But, when you do that, you're using the state to your advantage. It doesn't always work that way. And I probably won't call the cops on the local newspaper or public high school, because I don't want the cops to know who I am. And as far as I know, so far they don't. I think the problem
it kind of
is when the
conflicts
cops know
with the
you
whole
by name.
philosophy of never calling the cops.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't conflict with that because it'd be theater for your own purpose. It doesn't conflict with the moral things about why we don't call the cops, but it would conflict with the reason,
the not wanting to talk to cops,
not wanting the cops to be, of the unintended consequences of, okay, now the cops know who you are, or they may come over to your house and, see some code violation while they're there and throw you in prison for having your grass too high. Come into your bedroom while you're sleeping.
Now, if you did it thinking they would actually help you and solve your problem, I would call you naive. But if you're doing it to make a point or be funny or do some anarchist judo, go for it, man.
I'm not that kind of activist, man.
Yeah, I'm really not either. I'm the kind of activist that yells at a microphone.
Which some would say that's a theorist because you're not out in the street risking your neck. But I'm risking my neck. I'm risking getting droned, and I'm believing that more and more. I don't even know if I'm going to link the Drone Expo at auvsi.org. I think I'm just going to mention it. I don't want them getting
You don't want to piss off all the drone makers?
I don't want to piss off the drone makers, man. Really. They're probably really sensitive to and have thin skin about criticism. I'll bet they do.
Why would you bet they would?
Because in the 60s, people who protested the war got beat up and thrown in prison and persecuted by the FBI and the CIA and gaslighted and, COINTELPRO'd and, protesting the drone industrial complex. I mean, they think that they finally got it to a point where nobody can do anything about this. Nobody can protest it and nobody can shoot it. And all of your Second Amendment is useless and can't protect you now. But, we still got words. Words. Worms.
We do. For now, at least.
Yeah. Sign up now for Beef Fest. Sign up now for Beef Fest. Tickets available now for Beef Fest.
Okay. How much are tickets going to be for Beef Fest?
I don't know. It depends how much thick your beef is with us.
How thick your beef is. We must measure your beef before we can charge you.
Tickets for 2013 Beef Fest. I should.
You gonna print up some flyers?
I should pay my cartoonist guy that did my
your Anarchy Gumbo logo.
My Anarchy Gumbo logo. I should have him do a thing for Beef Fest.
All this talk is making me hungry, though. I would visit PorcFest and then visit Beef Fest, and then I'd be good to go.
We're almost done here, and my bitch is making me a sandwich because I said, "Bitch, make me a sandwich."
Shame on you, Mike. Shame.
I don't know, man. I just think anybody who has problems with things like that just shouldn't listen. And I'm not bashing Al. I'm just talking in general. And Al doesn't want to have government guns stop me. But, think about all the people that try to stop things from being on the air because they really disagree with it. I'm just don't listen, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any ill will. I mean, I think it's good for people to call out things that they're offended by. I mean, that's what pod beef is.
That's what we do.
I don't think he was starting pod
beef. And I
beef.
invited him. I invited him. I said, and he was like, "Really? You really want me to come on the air with this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I can't complain. I shouldn't invite people on to disagree with me if I'm going to be. Yeah. No,
I
it's
think
cool, man.
You've acquired a fine taste for pod beef.
I think
you want it raw and bloody.
I really don't.
On a daily basis.
I really don't. I'm laughing at the idea of it. I think Beef Fest is a pretty hilarious thought, though, man. Do it in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Yep. It'd be really funny to organize it, and then I don't show up.
Because the whole point is to piss you off.
I'll be like, yeah, I'm not coming all the way there. I'll phone it in, literally.
F that.
I'll mumble it in.
Yeah. Good to go. Well, I would give out the number more, but we're almost at our time, huh?
Yeah. I wonder if it's let's play the feed here and get some feedback. I've never done that. Let's see what that sounds like because I know there's a delay. So I've never done that. Let's see what that sounds like because I know there's a delay. There's a delay. Yeah, it's feeding back. Here we go.
Feedback.
Yeah. It did what I thought it would.
Oh, it wasn't feeding me back, but that's because I wasn't playing the feed.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It's like you said, if music was just about having fun, you would just make feedback sounds all day with your guitar.
Yeah. Which in context meant something else, but I'll just leave it at that in this.
Yeah. Go back, listen to some archived episodes. You'll know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just in general.
And we do have a streaming, rotating feed. There's a streaming link on the Freedom Fiends. So you can listen on your chromed robot turd.
I'm gonna have to get myself a new chromed robot turd, but
your phone works now. You don't need to.
What?
You don't need to because your phone works now.
I still want one. But,
really?
My ethnicity might preclude me from getting an iPhone.
Why?
Did you hear about that?
No.
That happened when I was gone on my vacation. A news story came out that because of the sanctions, Apple's no longer selling iPads, iPhones, all their products to Iran. And as a company policy, just to protect their butts from the American state, they've also extended that to ethnic Persians in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
So, RT did a story. So just Google RT and Iranian iPhones, and you can read the story. Apparently, though, I mean, it only really has happened to people who were, like, speaking Farsi in the store. But the clerk comes out and said, no, I can't sell this to you because you're speaking Farsi.
Really?
So I'll make sure. See, my American accent is very good. And so I'll just make sure I use
think you
my
could
American
say,
accent.
I'm Italian, man, if you ever pressed
Italian,
on it.
yeah,
I think you could pass for Italian.
Yeah, there you go. I'll use my credit card. That's my American voice. I'll use my credit card.
There you go. We're out.
If you're looking for work.
This is the Central Scrutinizer. We're working very hard to spend your tax money to keep you from hearing things like freedomfiends.com. That's why we're very upset about freedomfiends.cz. freedomfiends.cz is a Liberty Media archive of Freedom Fiends material hosted in the Czech Republic. freedomfiends.cz is outside the jurisdiction of the Watchers, who employ me, the Central Scrutinizer, to keep you from hearing things that might make you think. My fellow Scrutinizers and I do not want you to visit freedomfiends.cz. Do not visit freedomfiends.cz.